What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
He was absolutely sure of his victory, and this was the result. It was impossible to imagine a story as ridiculous as the demon lord Rimuru having not just one but several disaster-grade monsters serving him. Calgario's downfall might be inevitable after this fiasco, but any further sacrifices could very well destroy the entire framework of the empire. Better to retreat, then, and bet on their future reconstruction, even if it meant abandoning his pride. Calgurio may have been greedy, but he wasn't incompetent, and that's why he offered this proposal. If the demon lord Rimuru wants me alive, then so be it. I'm sure somebody will bring the required intelligence back to Emperor Rudra, and once they do, this defeat will finally take on meaning. Calgurio was prepared to sacrifice himself for this negotiation, but it was all too late.
Do you think you are in a position to state your conditions at this point? The moment you rejected Lady Testarosa's mercy, your fates were all sealed. Your choice is to resist or obey. Take your pick.
That was Agera's reply, and with nobody else able to move, he leisurely took his leave of the tent, but not before adding one more thing.
And don't think about running away.
What'll we do?
Misha asked Calgurio, who was standing there stunned. After a moment of silence.
We have no choice but to fight. All our lives belong to the Emperor. Perhaps we would survive longer as slaves, but we could hardly face His Majesty if we have to accept such humiliation.
It was with a quiet determination that he made the decision.
But we have no magitinks and no magic cancellers. It's going to be a tough fight, don't you think?
I don't care. Survival's no longer the goal. Our mission is to bring back all this information to the Emperor. All of you have to escape this, no matter how many soldiers have to be sacrificed.
Please, sir, wait a minute.
What do you intend to do then?
Isn't it obvious? We'll show these monsters our pride as Imperial soldiers.
The desperation finally made Calgurio abandon his selfishness. Here and now, he regained his pride as a pure, noble soldier. Seeing him change his stripes, his lieutenants and staff officers followed suit.
Nobody would be shameless enough to leave you alone and run, sir.
That's right. Nothing like a little last-ditch effort for some excitement, ain't?
We're not guaranteed to lose yet. Now's when the armored division will show its true colors.
They all raised their spirits, boosting their morale as they did. Misha alone heaved a sigh.
In that case, I'm going to run away. I'm not admirable enough of a woman to go along with all of your death wishes.
She waved her hands in the air as she did, all but relishing playing the villain. It made Calgurio smile bitterly.
Thank you. I know you have links to that kid Yuki. Tell the Empire just how incompetent I was. Don't leave out a single detail.
Yes, sir,
she said, smiling back. Nobody was going to stop Misha. Everyone knew that getting out of there was never going to be easy for her.
Let me appoint you guards.
We'll take that role, if we could.
Before Calgurio could finish, two figures appeared in the tent. They were Bernie and Jiwoo, freshly escaped from the labyrinth.
Single digits.
Krishna shouted.
Oh, Krishna? Good to see you again. Staying here's just gonna get you killed, you know. You wanna join us?
Bernie asked. Everyone fell silent. A single digit, one of the strongest forces in the Empire, was predicting defeat for them. It spoke volumes about the severity of the battle that lay ahead.
No. I will stay with Lord Calgurio.
Oh, no? Well, I'll tell His Majesty everything you did, then. You will die a glorious death in battle, not like some gutter rat. Give it all you've got. It's bound to be worth doing.
Bernie's words echoed heavily across the tent. Jiwoo silently agreed with him. Then, taking Misha along, they quickly withdrew from the scene. Those who remained were prepared to die.
There's no need to stick to that envoy's time limit. We'll strike them with maximum force before the enemy's ready.
Calgurio's order reached all the way down to the bottom rungs in an instant. Everyone went on the move, hurrying along, ready to give their all in the final battle.
They've decided to fight, then?
Geld shot a respectful glance at the Imperial troops who had started moving en masse. Neither he nor anyone else on his side were certain of their victory yet. On the contrary, they were at an overwhelming numerical disadvantage. Letting their guard down was out of the question. Letting anyone lose their lives against this wounded tiger was unthinkable. The role of Geld's Second Corps was defense. They'd take the front line and protect their firepower in the rear. That should have been enough to achieve victory. The dwarves excelled in this tactic, building a wall of forces and unleashing powerful offensive magic from beyond it. It was simple, straightforward, and perfectly suited for Geld's team. The Fourth Corps would be in charge of providing that firepower, and right now it was led by Momiji from the Tengu.
Victory for our master.
Already she was delivering a charming little pep talk to her forces. Taking this side approach in her quest for Benimaru was quite a bold strategy. In time, she thought, it'd help break the ice between them, and before he knew it, they'd be an established couple. Benimaru may very well have already lost to Momiji at the strategy phase, Geld thought, but then, maybe Benimaru didn't mind so much. If he did, he would have done something about it long ago, or else he wouldn't be much of a born leader after all. The problem, Geld supposed, was that Benimaru had too many girls with a thing for him. Everyone knew about all this, of course. The competition between her and Momiji was so fierce that it had become pretty notorious among Rimuru's staff. There was really no telling at this point if Momiji would emerge as the winner in the end. And now Alvis was rushing in to reinforce the Tempest army, which undoubtedly left Geld at a loss over who to root for. I better keep my nose out of this, he thought. Inevitably, someone's going to end up disappointed, so. It was very non-warrior-like of him, but either way, he took his mind off the subject and checked again for any flaws in his forces. The rear guard was fully prepared to support the rest of the group, and their methods of attack were all at the ready. Momiji was leading the main force, with Shion commanding her own unit and Alvis overseeing the reinforcements. Coordination between them wouldn't be a problem, not with Benimaru around. As long as I do my part, we won't lose. Geld's defense was truly ironclad. The elites of the yellow and orange numbers totaled 17,000 in all, and these fighters were all completely protected by Geld's unique skill protector. On top of that, Kurabe's and Garm's armor had beefed up their defenses to the point that not even cannonballs could fell them. As if that wasn't enough, Gourmet, Geld's other unique skill, had a stomach that was accessible by the entire armed force. If anyone got hurt, they could be healed magically through that via the support troops to the rear, and if someone was seriously messed up, they had instant access to as much healing potion as needed. A large supply was always kept in Geld's stomach, in case of emergency, not just for this war, but at all times. Rimuru kept it fully stocked for just that purpose. This potion wouldn't go bad or anything inside the stomach, either, and so the army had permission from Rimuru to deplete the stockpile as much as needed today. From the standpoint of logistics, a unit that could replenish its supplies on the spot without having to move an inch would put any commander's mind at ease. In a way, the monsters' own bodies were building a stout barrier for them all. There's no way they could lose, Geld thought. But after that, he looked at the sky. There, he saw the figure of an officer named Carrera who was assigned to his unit. If she's got enough power to make Sir Rimuru count on her, I'm sure gonna be looking forward to this. The final battle was almost here. Geld, nearly beside himself with excitement, continued to quietly wait for the opening bell. Carrera was idly floating in the sky, within Geld's line of sight. She had been assigned to the 2nd Army Corps with her 2 companions, but they were operating separately for now. Rimuru had given her the honor of being on the vanguard force, and the warrior Geld had graciously accepted the trio, advising them to act as they pleased. He seemed like a very nice person, and Carrera felt they'd be getting along excellently before long. Rimuru had given Carrera a secret order to protect Geld as well. She didn't know for sure, but she guessed that Testarossa and Ultima received similar orders. If anyone on the Empire side was too much for his chief officials to deal with, the demons would keep those foes occupied and buy time for their side. That was their real mission. That wasn't the case now, however. Now that they were in a lead position among the forces, there was no reason for the 3 of them to stay together. In fact, given the wall Geld and his forces had already built up, Carrera and her friends had nothing to do, really. For now, the first priority on Carrera's mind was figuring out how to best annihilate the enemy. So there she was, in the sky, just about to unleash a nuclear magic spell.
Whoa, wait a second. Lady Carrera, what did you just try to do?
Agera, just back from his envoy errand, hurriedly came up to stop her. The hard-nosed old veteran Calgurio was nowhere to be seen. In front of Carrera, Agera was nothing but a hapless, long-suffering servant. He had rushed back here because he had a premonition that something bad was about to happen, and it turned out he was right. The way he could detect subtle signals predicting Carrera's action showed how developed his keen intuition had become over many years of working for her.
Oh, you're back, Agera? You know, I've been thinking about a few different things, but I honestly think I need some practice. I don't want to mess up when it's time to really fight.
She wanted to fire that off while nobody was around to nitpick at her about it, but being interrupted didn't seem to bother her at all. It was clear evidence that this behavior was pretty much par for the course.
Practice, you say?
Right. Yeah. I'm just triggering a nuclear explosion in the sky, so it'll look kind of like a big firework, you know? There might be some residual heat that burns up the ground a little, but no biggie. What do you think? That won't be a problem, will it?
It's excellent, my lady. A perfect idea. Well done, as always.
The girl who accompanied the smug Carrera was now giving her effusive praise. This was Esprit, a demon on roughly the same social caste as Agera. She looked like a cute little girl, but one with a terrifying personality. In fact, it'd be no exaggeration to say she was the worst of Carrera's underlings. But she had the power to back it up, so even Agera had trouble dealing with her. Typically, as servants, he and Esprit would be sharing in the same hardships, but Esprit indulged all Carrera's impulses so much that she wasn't much of a bulwark at all. Never once had he ever tried to admonish her. Whatever Carrera did was fine with her. Esprit left all the difficult, awkward lecturing to Agera while continuing to be Carrera's top bandwagoner. This meant that Agera did all the labor among them, which made for a less than healthy working relationship. To him, Testarossa, a sensible girl who was pure evil, and Ultima, who was in constant pursuit of further brutality, were just as bad as Carrera. But simply being evil wasn't the problem. Even Carrera, who always did everything turned up to 11 without worrying about the collateral damage, was a troublesome lord to serve in Agera's eyes, spreading mayhem, then saying, "Oops, that kinda caused a lot of damage," afterward, didn't strike him as funny at all. He just couldn't bring himself to laugh along with her. On the other hand, his colleague Esprit didn't mind Carrera at all, thanks to having such similar personalities. Agera envied her for that.
It's not excellent at all, you. Keep your mouth shut.
The long-suffering Agera yelled at the irresponsible Esprit about it. Then he turned to Carrera and began to explain matters carefully, as if talking to a child.
Listen, Lady Carrera. I just visited the enemy camp as an envoy, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's a rule on the battlefield that you're not supposed to make any moves until the time comes.
What? It's just practice.
Practice or not, you still can't do it.
Agera's boss Carrera was like a runaway train with no brakes. Stopping her required a mammoth effort. Her power was just so overwhelming that it made her tough to control. She had been making a regular habit of agitating the demon lord Leon on a daily basis, shooting nuclear magic off to provoke him. It didn't turn into a war thanks to Leon being cool-headed, but if it was any other demon lord, the fallout would have been massive.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Zach Rosen, Byron, Yuki Iki, Kayode De Peza, This Is Not My Username, Von Joseph, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Tank Bailey, Cam, Gareth Hashimoto, Ankit Kumar, SPT Mighty, Canon McClanahan. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.